Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 15 of the Backstage Knits podcast. My name is Catherine, and I am your host for this podcast. A little bit about where you can find me. There's a Ravelry group for the podcast called the Backstage Knits podcast. That's where I post all the show notes from these podcasts. I am also on Ravelry myself as Backstage Cat Knits, so feel free to shoot me a friend request and say hello in the Ravelry group. And I'm also on Instagram as Backstage Cat. So welcome. Today is Friday, July 22nd, 2016. This is a slightly delayed episode 15, so I actually recorded a full episode and then last Wednesday, so a little over a week ago, and then just got bored and didn't feel like editing it or doing show notes or anything like that. So I'm actually going to zoom in and out of that one because my finished object that I have is not with me. It's in the hands of its recipient. So in just a few minutes, I'll flip over to me from a week and a half ago talking about that. And then I have a pretty big acquisition section, but I could pull it out all again. But instead of doing that, I'm just going to flip to that. I have nothing new acquisitions-wise to share. So you'll see me change clothes a couple of times. I'll hop back and forth in time, but this will probably be posted either tonight or early tomorrow morning. So yeah. Alright, well, I guess I'll just do this quickly because I'm here and I'm thinking about it. I'm not drinking tea today. I am drinking juice from a new grocery store that opened in downtown Hartford. It's very exciting. There are this is the first anything close to a grocery store that we have downtown. We have a couple of bodegas and stuff, but this is kind of more grocery. They have a pretty big fresh produce section. Sorry, my computer was blinking at me. I wanted to make sure it was still recording. So a pretty big produce section, and like it's a specialty food store mostly. So they've got a lot of regular groceries, but they're also focused on like natural foods and more healthy foods and like vegan or vegetarian foods. So they have a full juice bar and a full deli where you can order sandwiches. I haven't tried their sandwiches, so I went last week and got some really good dumplings, which I got more of today, and another kind because those are really good dumplings. And I got a juice, which if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen. And so today I got a different juice to try, and also more of the fresh juice because it's really good. This is Tropicool. There's beets in here, and I forgot to actually look to see what it was. It's good. It tastes like beets, but it's not bad. I like beets. So, alright, well, I'm going to pop you over to me from a week and a half ago talking about finished objects, and I'll see you on the other side of the click. Alright, ready for the fill? I know I am. Socks! I finished my socks. As you can see, I made them shorty socks. I will actually be giving these to my friend, and I wanted to be done with them. I actually wanted to give them to her when I was visiting last week in Boston, but I forgot my embroidery needle, or my finishing needle, whatever, the needle that you use to weave in ends. So I couldn't give them to her because, yeah. And so I blocked them and I wove in the ends, and now they're socks. I made this out of a sock blank. Looked like that. The yarn was Supernatural Yarns. It's the Pixie Sock Blank in the Elixir to Induce Euphoria colorway. Pixie Sock Blank is a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 463 yards, and 100 grams. Supernatural Yarns. I didn't weigh these, but I would imagine I only used about half the blank. Figure I can try and get a pair for myself out of them too. So those are those. I knit them on Hiya Sharps 2.25, which is US 1, I think. I know it's 2.25, and I'm pretty sure it's US 1, but sometimes the 1 and the 1.5 mess me up a little bit. So I really like how they came out. The one part that's annoying me a little bit is the heel a little bit. It's not as, like, it's just by virtue of the way you do heels when you don't do a contrast heel. Like, the patterning stops and then you go and do the heel patterning, right? and so then this little part goes from purple to blue very quickly and not nicely as it does up here. But I love how the heel looks. I guess I'll live with it because the heel looks so good. It just perfectly worked out. Like purple and blue changed right at the short row. So fish lips kiss heel, 15 rows of ribbing. My favorite, I did these toe up, so I reverse engineered the toe from the Rose City Rollers pattern. I like the rounded toe as opposed to the square one or trapezoidal one. Anyway, rounded toe, I really love them. Socks for my friend, I hope she likes them too. Hi, if you're watching, you know who you are. I think that's it for my finished object. I could have made them longer. I didn't want to. So it helped because now I also have a finished object this week. Last week I said I was in Project Purgatory, and I still was. I forgot to put my little thing back in saying where I was last time, but I think I was only midway through the foot. But got a lot done on these last week. So there's that. So, alright, so those are my friend's socks. Hi friend, if you're watching, I hope you enjoy them. I know you got them, which makes me happy. Okay, works in progress. So, I've got 2 new whips to share, but I'm still in a bit of Project Purgatory, so that's the other reason I didn't really feel like uploading, is I didn't have a whole ton to share. But now I have a little bit more, not a ton. I haven't been doing a whole lot of knitting this week. I don't really know why, but I haven't. So, first, shawls. One you've seen before, the Danzig. I have not really touched this much at all since we last spoke. So the last time, I believe I had gotten 6 of the little stripes, the short row pebble rows in there, and as you can see, I've just gotten 2 more. And this top row here is a short row. So it's moving along. The pattern is not discouraging. The pattern is very simple and easy to remember, and pretty much have it memorized with the exception of just needing to know how many short row pebbles you do and when to start and all that. But a really easy pattern for the most part. It's just the fact that I have to weave in all these ends is really bumming me out. You can kind of maybe see, I wove in 2 ends and then was like, oh man. So, it's just, I don't think I'd like how it looked if they carried up along the side, because it's 5 rows is like 1 or 2, or not, I mean really it's 10 rows, but 5 garter stitch bumps, if you know what I mean, is probably too many to do by like 1 or 2 repeats. So I'm gonna like how it looks better, but it's just gonna really annoy me. And also, I'm really bad at weaving in ends. I feel like I'm always worried that they're gonna come undone. So if you have good weaving end tips and tricks, let me know, because this is kind of on the back burner, not because I dislike it. I love the yarn, I love the colors. It's not really calling to me. So there's that. So when I went up to Boston to visit my friend, which I may discuss briefly in that little segment you saw on me entering my socks. I don't remember exactly what I said because it was a week and a half ago. I actually brought 3 knitting projects with me. So my goal for the weekend, and I went up Friday night and left Sunday afternoon, so I was there for 2 nights. My goal for the weekend was to finish those socks. And again, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I had just kind of gotten past the heel, maybe a couple rows past the Fish Lips Kiss heel, and I was like, I can finish these. I know that when I see this one friend, I have a pretty good amount of time to knit because she's usually chill and awesome, so I knew we were going to be super busy, so I was like, I can finish these socks. So, but then, you know, like, you're like, I don't know what I'm going to want to work on in that moment when I'm done, so I brought a shawl pattern and a sock pattern, brand new patterns, that I was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to want to cast on. I ended up working on both, so we'll stay in the shawl theme. this is a shawl that I think many of you are likely familiar with. It's a shawl that was in my cart on Ravelry for a long time, and I went to go buy the Shawl Society, which I haven't knit any projects from, but it's by the same designer. I was like, you know what, let me just get this. So this is the Pebble Beach shawl by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. And it looks like this. So there's 3 sizes included in this pattern, and I am making the large size, but I think I actually may make larger than a large size. So the large size in the pattern calls for 1 skein of lace weight yarn. And I was searching around for this project. I have 2 skeins of this really beautiful yarn that I got in a yarn box subscription, and I'm sorry for the cake, it's a hot mess. I tried to make a shawl with it and failed. So this is Bugga by the Verdant Griffin. It's a sport weight yarn. I don't remember fiber content. I have a thing in there. I'll bring it out the next time I talk about this. But it's this really pretty, like, purple and pink kind of variegated yarn. And I'm like, I need just a good, simple pattern that will, you know, just show this off and just be simple and easy. And it was just use up a lot of yarn, kind of, you know. And so I figured, well, if I do the large that's designed for 1 skein of lace weight and go up a couple needle sizes, I should be good to go with 2 skeins of sport weight. But, sorry, this is really dark. There we go. Sorry about that. Plus with the brightness. I think I'm such a tight knitter that I still am out of yarn. So the great thing about these patterns Helen does is she has like percentages thrown in there throughout. Let's see if I can kind of show you one without giving away too much of the pattern. Well, anyway, but like she has, like that little thing says 15%. And so you kind of know where you are in the skein and if you're running out. And I believe I think I even might be at the 10% mark right now. Let's see. Yeah, I just passed the 10% mark. And so that would mean I'm 20% done with this skein. I'm maybe 10% done with this skein. So I might even be able to get the shawl, the large size shawl, out of 1 skein of this. But I might just kind of, it seems like a pretty easy pattern to kind of just keep going on, at least the initial section. So I gotta take a look and kind of figure out the number of stitches you need and repeats, and I might just kind of keep expanding the pattern until a point where I feel good with it. And I might just even do it like where I use up the full skein of this and then move on to the border section and do that. So we'll see. Or I might just do it as written and use up as much of the yarn as I can and figure it out later. So I am knitting this on Addy US 8s, and you can kind of see where I'm at. I'm actually going to need a longer cable for this pretty soon. I did not realize that. It's a nice, really crescent shaped shawl. Oh, I am farther along than I thought I was. Go me. You can see where I was when I fake recorded this last podcast. So using my little T marker because Helen Stewart's British, so I figured that's slightly related. And yeah, I really like how it's coming along. I don't quite have the pattern memorized yet. I mean, I essentially do, and I can do like the rows across with the same pattern, but just the order and exactly like how many stitches before you start the pattern, I still have to look, which is fine, but it is pretty mindless, which is nice. It's that kind of perfect blend between mindless and pattern reading that I like. So I had gotten, you can kind of see where the stitch marker is. It was about where I was when I recorded last Wednesday, which was just when I got home from Boston. Yeah, is that right? I think so. So I got a good amount done in Boston and a decent amount since. Like I said, I haven't done a lot of knitting this week, so this will continue to move along. I'm sure you'll see it for a while. I'm in that spot again where just I have a lot of projects and none of them are anywhere close to done. So we'll see. Well, let's stay on the purple and semi-mindless, semi-pattern reading knitting train and talk about my slippery berry socks. So you've seen these, I think, 3 or 4 times now. I don't do a lot of knitting on them. The reason for that is I like to get, so it's a 4-row repeat, and I like to get through all of those at once, and I don't want to stop in the middle because I will forget what I'm doing. So with my A, slow knitting, B, slight patterning, which I have memorized, it's just a matter of like remembering it and you know, yarn overs and slip stitches take more time than a regular knit stitch, and the fact that I'm doing 2 at a time, getting through that 4-row repeat takes me about 45 minutes. So I really only work on these when I know I'm going to have a solid 45 minutes to just sit and knit. So like, it might even take me a little bit longer than that, but like my roommate and I have been watching Chuck together when she's home, so she's seen it before but I haven't, so I like to wait and watch it with her. So when I know that we're going to watch Chuck, like I'll work on these because it's a perfect amount of time and I get through one repeat in one thing of the show. So I kind of had to guesstimate where I was because I had moved it after last Wednesday, the little octopus stitch marker there, but I've gotten a good amount done. You can really see the pattern now. It's kind of random. I'm wishing I had done it slightly differently, but not enough that I want to go back and do anything about it. I'm knitting these socks on Hiya Sharps US 1.5 2.5 millimeter needles. And my yarns are Yarns to Inspire, which is a locally dyed yarn brand. This is actually extremely locally dyed because I dyed it by myself in the home of the knitter who owns Yarns to Inspire. I won that as a giveaway prize for my local yarn store. So this colorway I'm calling Dollar Princess, just purple and pink variegated, which matches quite nicely with this, which is Plymouth Yarns Happy Feet 100 Splash in the blueberry colorway. So my slippery berry socks is what I'm calling these. I made up this pattern myself. I don't have it online. It's just kind of like an alternating slip stitch. It's a little bit hard to see on camera. It doesn't read very well, which again, I kind of like. It's a little bit random. It's a little bit out there, and I'm not unhappy with it in any way, but just not really working on it a ton. So there's that. Sorry if I'm talking quickly. I'm trying to get this done before my roommate gets home from work. She finishes work at 5, and I figure if I can plan my life around when she's not in the apartment, I can record in my favorite recording spot. I tried to record in my room. Like I think I said a while back, like, this might be the last time you see me here. The lighting in my room is just so bad, like with where light sources come from, and has predictable enough schedules that I can like sneak this in. So thankfully I don't have much today, or else it might be tight to like try to get everything in and out of my room. But that was a bad idea. That cap had fruit on it. All right, good job, Catherine. All right, so anyway, Catherine, don't talk with your hands when there's fruit stainy things on. Anyway. Okay, what's this? Oh, it's calibration. So, second project that I brought with me to Boston after the socks was another pair of socks, because I'm like, I know that I'm going to want to cast on a pair of socks after finishing a pair of socks, and could have brought those socks with me, was not feeling them that weekend. Like I said, I knew that my friend would be chill and like we'd have a lot of time to just hang out in her apartment, but again, like very specific. I know I'm gonna have exactly 45 minutes, and I didn't know that I was gonna have that, so cast on another pair of socks. So this is a Yarn Box Socks mismatch. Both the pattern and the yarn are from my Yarn Box Socks subscription, but they are from different months. So the pattern is by Yarn Enabler called Tornado Socks. It's a little bit hard to see on this picture, but it's kind of this cool, like, well, yeah, you have to see it in person. Kind of like goes around the back and goes around the front. It's cool little like alternating knit and purl, very simple, no cables or anything like that, which was good because I wasn't bringing a cable needle with me to Boston. Anyway, and the yarn is Rain City Knits. This is the Super Sock base, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and the colorway is Wasabi, which is this gorgeous, like, seafoam green. It's not quite as dark as, like, real life Wasabi. Ooh, what's happening here? Okay, here we go. This just seafoam green. It's washing out a little bit. It's a little bit more vivid in real life. It's really pretty. Apparently this skein is imploding. What's going on? Okay. So, I probably could have figured these out two at a time, but this is probably the most patterned sock. I did the zigzagular socks, but that was like a 10-row repeat, but the repeat was only over the course of like maybe 8, 10, 12 stitches. I don't remember but this kind of is patterned down the entire foot, and the pattern changes, and where you start the row changes, and so I'm not going to try to figure out two at a time. I'm just going to do one at a time. So, here is my progress on the sock. So this will be the front of the sock, and this will be the back. And so I've gotten pretty far. So it's, I think, a 16-row repeat. You repeat 3 times, and then it starts to go into a couple rounds of yeah, sorry. I was trying to see if I can do math quickly. It goes into a couple rounds of just like transition pattern, and then kind of gets into the foot and stuff. So I don't know, maybe 20 rows from the foot, I think, at this point. And it's really a really cool pattern. I really like the kind of the ribbing in and out. I'm worried that they're going to be a little bit too thin for me. I did not test gauge, which I should have done, but I found that generally if I do 72 stitches on these needles, which is a US 1 2.25 millimeter needle, high sharp, I can get 72 stitches around, or if I do the US 1.5, I do 68. But I think this yarn was also a little bit thinner than some of my other sock yarns, so these might get to a friend because I've put them on and they fit a little bit, but it might just, they don't fit a little bit, like I can get them on, but they might just be a little bit too pulley or stretchy on me, so they may go to some other deserving home. So I worked on these a lot last week, so there's that. Yep, little stitch marker, which you'll hear about later in my acquisition section, which matches my dress quite nicely today. And because these are tornado socks, tornadoes knock down trees, so I had to have my little tree stitch marker on my tornado socks. Alright, so that is that. I have one other whip. I've been doing a little bit of spinning lately. I've thought about participating, not really formally. I was never going to participate formally in the Tour de Fleece, but I know that it's a thing that people do, and I thought it would be kind of good to get me back into spinning again. I took a drop spindle class, I want to say like last August or September or something. I think September. And I've got one pretty major project done with it. I got through 2 ounces that I spun on my drop spindle at about a bulky to worsted weight. But I haven't really done much since. So it worked really well. I spun like the first 4 or 5 days of Tour de Fleece, and then what happened was I went to Boston and didn't want to bring spinning with me, and then I haven't touched it since. But I do have some work to share. I've done most of this during Tour de Fleece. I'd gotten through a little bit prior to that. So you might recognize this from my episode 6 or 7, or Crawl and Haul. I don't know, I can't remember that. You don't have to remember that, but I remember that. It was actually my last episode before my really long hiatus. And so this is, I got this at a yarn store in Kent, Connecticut. So this is from a local farm in Newtown, Rowanwood Farm, and it's a blend of mohair, Jacob, merino, which I think is merino, so mohair from Angora goat, alpaca, and sheep wool. And so it's 2.5 ounces, and it's beautiful. Oh, I love it so much. This was the one fiber I bought that day, and I really love it. It's been sitting in my house for far too long, and I just wanted to do something with it. So it's kind of this light blue with little flecks of dark blue, and there's both. You can see the silver shimmer in there pretty well, but there is a little bit of like dark blue sparkles, Selena, I guess. Ooh, you can really see it. There we go. That, all this right here, right there, is blue shimmer. So it's really beautiful. And yeah, so there's that. So, like I said, I had done a very little bit, but here is what I have so far. My spinning is not incredibly consistent, but it's getting there. It's fun to do. I love the mindlessness of spinning. So this is my Snyder Spindles drop spindle, top whirl, top something. Yeah, I like it a lot. The spindle. It's very light and pretty. So, and teal. And steampunk, which I don't love, but I like steampunk something than nothing, like just the plain one that I got. So, as you can see, I've gotten a decent amount done. Just kind of ripped off a small section and tried to get through about half of that a night for the first 4 nights, so, or 4 or 5 days, or however long I did it for. So, a little bit of spinning. Maybe I don't know. Like, I go back and forth on my crafting endeavors, how much I want to be knitting versus spinning versus just hanging out. Alright, so that's it for whips. Let's take a pause here, and you'll go over to my acquisition section from last Wednesday, because there's a lot of good stuff in that. So, see you in a bit. Alrighty. Alrighty, quick life update. Life is kind of awesome right now. I have a roommate and she's great and I love living with her and just living with someone in general. Last Sunday we successfully hosted our first party. We had 3 people over. We probably had enough food for 12 people. Alright, we'll do them kind of in the order that I got them. So, July yarn box. It's 2 weeks after, so I can talk about it. The yarn dyer this week was Narwhal Needleworks. Needleworks. Oh boy. And actually, it's funny. You can't really see it, but up there, that little picture there, you can't really tell, but those are actually narwhals who are knitting a scarf with their horns. So, appreciate Narwhal Needleworks, which apparently I cannot say. I followed them on Instagram for a while, actually. So anyway, either way, this is their Rogue base, which is a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 462 yards in a 100-gram skein, and this is the Siren Song colorway, which is just this kind of like dark cornflower blue, I guess I would say. I'm doing just cornflower blue. I don't really know my colors very well. So, it's very, very pretty. I don't really know what it goes with, other than just by itself, but I like it quite a lot. Then, a while back, I had put in an order from CJ Knit on Etsy. It took a while to get to me. I know Canada was having some issues with their post and stuff, but it arrived, and it didn't take that long, just a couple of weeks. So the first thing I got was this little stitch marker set. You might recognize this blue one from what's on my tornado socks. It was the one in my room the other night when I was tornado socking. So it came with five small stitch markers and 1 big stitch marker. So really pretty. I actually received 2 skeins of yarn. I ordered that 2 skeins, so I received 2 skeins. And each came with its own little stitch marker, which was nice. So this is, I believe both were on the same, nope, slightly different bases. So this is a 75% superwash, 25% nylon, 463 yards. And this is the colorway Ratchet AF. So it's this really cool, kind of mostly green skein with some flecks of pink, a little bit of like light orangey, just kind of this really cool variegated skein thrown in. Very cool colorway. I like it a lot. Again, have no plans for making anything with this. Just like it. And then when I was on my rainbow yarn spree, which was a great spree to be on, I saw this colorway. It's not quite rainbow, but this is the stained glass colorway, and this is actually on a 80% superwash, 20% nylon base. And this actually knits up self-striping of black and kind of all these variegated colors that you see. So this will likely be socks. I'm really excited to knit socks out of this. I almost caked it up and brought this to Boston, but I wanted to show you it like this because I don't know how good it would really look in a cake to appear on the podcast. So because I wanted it to be podcast ready, it has not been caked yet, but maybe next week when my roommate's at work, I'll have another caking party. I did that one last week, and I was like, let's just spend one night and cake all the things. So, mentioned my rainbow yarn purchasing spree. I bought yet another rainbow skein. This one I had purchased when I did my episode about Knit the Rainbow. I think that was 2 episodes ago, but it had not arrived. This one had not been purchased. So, Haverland. Let me open it up. It came in this adorable little package with, of course, a rainbow bow. And so the Etsy shop is Haverland, and she was actually doing this yarn as a charity yarn. So 20 or 25% or some portion of the proceeds went to support the Pulse nightclub and victims of the shooting in Orlando. So this is Haverland Yarns. This is her Potomac sock base, which is a 4-ply fingering weight, 75% superwash, 25% nylon, 462 yards in the gram, and this is her Live and Let Love colorway, which is a beautiful self-striping red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. It's so pretty. I can't wait to knit more rainbow socks out of it. I'm gonna have so many rainbow socks. But hey, rainbow socks are awesome. Package also came with some cute little tees from someplace. From Lutherville, Maryland. I believe that she is from Maryland as well. So, great little package. Happy to support a good cause that Haverland was donating to. Alright, there is that. Then I was on Sue and Chelsea, who do the Legacy Knits podcast, and they actually had a coupon code for a store that I had heard about like 2 or 3 times in 1 week, and like looked at it and considered buying it and was like, no, and then saw that Sue and Chelsea had a coupon code. I was like, alright, this is fate. So the Etsy shop is Yarn Seller Studio. Let's see if this is her business card. Yes, beautiful. Yarn Seller Studio. She makes primarily project bags, I think, but perhaps also other things. I don't really remember. I was on the hunt for project bags. So, package came with some tea, a little mini skein, some nice pretty light purple yarn, and some candies, which have not been eaten, surprisingly. And I actually got 2 project bags from her. So I got 2 sizes. So the first one is slightly smaller, would be good for, actually could probably fit a small shawl size bag. It's fairly hefty. And I honestly don't remember which sizes these were. I should have written them down, but I forgot. So they also come with a little progress keeper, which is nice. So this one's got little bees. I love bees. I always think of my friend from college when I see bees, because I was in this, like, I forget the name of the class, but it was like evolution kind of focus. It was a history class, but it was like about evolution. I don't really remember. I went to a liberal arts school. It was one of those like really liberal arts school classes, you know. I loved my college, but like what? History? It was taught by a history professor, but I think it was like a writing course. I don't even know why I took it. But my friend was in it. And one of the articles we read was about bees. And she just kind of like really fell in love with bees. I get like, you know, just bees have this really cool like system of society and how they work. And anyway, I always think of her when I see bees, so I thought that would be nice. It's pretty colors too. And then I got a tea project bag because, of course, you have to get one of those, right? So this has just got a bunch of little tea pots. Wow, Catherine, on it. And I actually haven't realized what the insides of these look like. Okay, so the inside is the same thing that's on the handle, which is just like tea, Darjeeling, chamomile, all sorts of tea words. And I would imagine then that the inside of this bag looks like that. So yes, these are really nice, well-made bags. I believe the coupon code may have expired, but watch Chelsea and Sue's podcast. I like them a lot. This one's pretty big. Like, this is definitely a shawl-sized project bag, which is awesome. And then, so, I've mentioned this a couple times, but this weekend I was in Boston visiting a friend who I have actually seen a lot of recently, which has been really nice. And I gave her the link, so like I said, hi, if you're watching, you know who you are. And on Saturday, we had no plans for the weekend. I was just really up there just simply to visit. We had nothing, like we weren't there to see a concert or see a show, just absolutely nothing. So on Saturday, we went out to lunch. We actually met my sister, who lives up in Boston. And after we went to lunch, I was like, well, I kind of want to walk around and see if there's a yarn place anywhere about. And I'll just go in and see what's there. So we actually walked almost a mile to a yarn store in Cambridge. And the yarn store is Gather Here. It's a yarn and fabric store. I think they had a really, really great selection of fabric, so probably a little bit more fabric focused than yarn focused, but a very good selection of yarn as well, and some dyers I hadn't heard of, perhaps some more local people. And I actually found some Quince & Co. So I had heard of Quince & Co. for a really long time, but I just never had really the initiative to go online and purchase it. So I feel like if I'm going to buy online, I'd rather buy from like an independent dyer. I don't know. It's a weird thing that I have. So anyway, I didn't feel like going online, except all my nitpick stuff. I don't know. Just didn't feel like going online and buying it. But I had heard a couple of people say on their podcast that apparently they're fairly selective in which local yarn stores they allow to sell their yarn. Which is fine, like that's their prerogative as business owners. But they're from Maine, which is, it's not like I'm in California and they're in Maine. It's fairly close to me along the eastern seaboard. But this yarn store had it, so I figured I would purchase it. I purchased it, man, can I say, what a great price for yarn. Like, really. So, I actually got 2 each of these 3 colors. This is Quince & Co. Finch, which is their fingering weight. These are sold in 50-gram balls. This is 225 yards of 100% wool. So I got 3 colors, and these are washing out a little bit again. This is pretty much a teal here in the middle, or like an emerald green, actually, kind of more than teal. This is the Cypress colorway. We have Frank's Plum, which is just a dark purple. And then we have, this is the Quince & Co. Heathers in the Iceland colorway. So, like I said, I have 100 grams of each of these. I'm on the hunt for a good pattern. I'm thinking 3-color cashmere shawl. But I was just looking around and found some other really good patterns. So, eventually these 3 will one day be a shawl together. I think they look really good together. Although now, I'm looking at this. Look at that beautiful thing together. Those look nice, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So, might just stick to what I purchased it for. Although, I had no plans to make the 3-color cashmere shawl. I mean, I know a ton of people are making it. I don't dislike it, but it just wasn't like, oh, I need to knit that today, as I saw it on people's podcasts. But I was like, shoot, I like these 3 colors here. Like, let me find a pattern that I can, I wanted to purchase the yarn, but I also wanted to have something in mind when I purchased it. But I didn't have anything in mind, so I started looking through Ravelry there in the store. My friend's holding 2 things of coffee. I'm like, oh, yeah, wait. She's like, it's fine. So, anyway, bought the 3-color cashmere cowl pattern. not the cowl, the shawl. I don't like cowls. So that might get made. But still have to wind the yarn. That's a long way off. Let's finish the project first. Alright, folks. I think that's it. Alrighty. Quick life update. Life is kind of awesome right now. I have a roommate and she's great and I love living with her and just living with someone in general. Last Sunday we successfully hosted our first party. We had 3 people over. We probably had enough food for 12 people and there were 5 of us. With her and I and my 3 friends from church, but it was really fun. We played board games. You can see some of them over there that we haven't put away yet because we're lazy. And it's working out really well. And it's a good balance of when she's home and when I'm home, and it's not like all the time we're together, so it's a good balance. Last Saturday, we actually drove up to Boston just for the night, which is kind of insane. Last weekend was really busy. Friday night, I went to go see Ragtime. So if you don't know Ragtime, alright, we're gonna start. Last weekend was busy. Here we go. Friday night, Ragtime. Ragtime is a really good show from like the 1990s, I think. Written by Flaherty and Ahrens, who also done Anastasia now. Well, they did music for the movie, which is now a musical. That was in my last episode, or 2 episodes ago, or whatever. Anastasia. They've written other shows, but Flaherty and Ahrens, I can't remember any of them right now. But anyway, they wrote Ragtime. On Broadway it starred Marin Maisie, not Brian Darcy James. His name. Brian Stokes Mitchell. And Audrey McDonald. So, the point of Ragtime is there's kind of like 3 main groups. There's the upper middle class white people. It's not even upper middle class. Upper class white people, rich white people. There's the African American black community, and there's the immigrant community. And so it takes place in like it takes place over a couple of years. I think it starts in 1906 and goes up to the 20s or the 30s or whatever. So not quite that long. It's only like 4 or 5 years at a span. So 1906 to 1912. Anyway, so the 3 groups are kind of personified. This is what the Wikipedia article says by Mother, who's obviously the mother of the upper white middle class group. She kind of is the main character in that group. By Coalhouse Walker Jr., who is the main character in the black African American group, and by Tata something, yeah, who's a Latvian immigrant who's kind of the star of the immigrant group. And I actually knew the people playing Mother, Tata, and Coalhouse Walker Jr. So it was really, really fun to go see my friends be awesome at theater. Yeah. So that was really fantastic. My friends are so talented. I love sitting and watching shows and being like, I know you, and you know me, and just watching your friends have fun performing is like the best, and being so proud of them. Oh, I love it. Nothing better. So Friday night we did that. Saturday I got up, went to knitting group. I don't think I talked about knitting group, but anyway, I'll talk about it next time. I'll have to rewatch it. I think I might have talked about it last Wednesday in this fake recording. So, knitting group, which I found on Ravelry, and then went to my work party. We had a little gathering for my team at work, which was awesome. A little bit warm, but lots of fun, just hanging out with the people you work with. It's nice to sometimes see them kind of out of the work environment and just being themselves. And then, like I said, where I started with all this, we drove to Boston. So there's this group, Celtic Thunder, who perform on PBS a lot. They're like a men's singing and instrumental group. And they're, love their music. My roommate got me into it. We've seen them in Boston last October, I think, and we're going to see them in Connecticut this August. And so occasionally some of their members of that group will go solo tour as they wrote their own music, as this person did, or just promoting their CDs of cover songs or whatever. So we went to see a solo concert in Boston. So we drove to West Roxbury, Massachusetts, and got there at about like 6:45. The show started at 7:30, and then drove back at 10:30 at night. So it was kind of exhausting. And then Sunday we had people over. So it was a very busy weekend last weekend, but everything I did was amazing. And last night I saw Once Upon a Mattress at the town that I grew up in. Has a teen theater where everything is done by 11 to 22-year-olds. And I did 3 productions with them. My sister did a bunch. And my roommate did the same show that they did this year, Once Upon a Mattress, 11 years ago with them. So it's one of her favorite shows, and we went and saw it together. And don't know many people in the cast anymore, so I've, it's 11 to 22, and I've aged out a little bit, and a couple people had been in the cast. I think 2 people in the cast here were in the cast that the show I directed 4 years ago. So, yeah. That is it. Also, fun thing that I wanted to share, because why not? So every Friday there's a farmer's market in like the old State House Plaza, which is right near where I work. And so today I and my boss was like, hey, do you want to like go walk around the farmer's market? So we did. And Rosa's Berry Farm was selling yellow raspberries. Have you ever heard of such a kooky thing? Look at them. They're yellow raspberries. They're kind of squished because they were in my bag on the way home, but look at them. And they're really good. They taste like regular raspberries. They're just a little bit sweeter. They're not quite as tart. Quite delicious. If you can find yellow raspberries, highly recommend. Alright, I think that is it. My roommate should be home in about maybe half an hour, but still, I have nothing else to talk about. So, I hope you enjoy this slightly disjointed, kind of cut and pasted episode, because Catherine's lazy and didn't feel like editing last weekend. Heyo! Yeah, so hope you enjoy, having a wonderful day, and hope you enjoy what you're knitting on. See you next time!